In today's episode, we are looking at our goals and intentions for 2024 with an honest eye and seeing if we have perhaps set ourselves up for failure. All is not lost, however, because I am also going to share my advice on how to get these goals back on track. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Live Mindfully with Laurie Moore, and welcome to the very first episode of 2024. How is 2024 treating you so far? How are your goals and your aspirations and feelings and resolutions for 2024 going? For me, so far so good, I think. I've been doing this for a really long time now, so I feel like I am pretty good at setting goals for myself that are true to where I am in this moment. But getting to that space took a really long time for me. And that is what I want to dive into in this episode, because I have spent the last 3 to 4 weeks off work, which I have not done since the kids were babies. And I'm going to be honest, we had a phenomenal time together, but there were things I missed. I missed being creative. I missed being alone with my thoughts and having a thought that reached its completion before I was interrupted for another snack or another game of Uno or another request to get something. And for all the parents out there, I know you know what I'm talking about. And that is why it is so important when we come to set these intentions for ourselves, these goals for our future, that we dedicate specific time away from interruptions of all kinds. Because when we get really quiet, we can hear our truest desires. And one indication that you are not maybe in alignment with your goals, with your intentions, and with your resolutions is the feedback we get from our bodies and from our minds and from our nervous systems. And this is one of the best ways because it is so tangible and physically manifests. So we can't ignore it, which is brilliant, because I think it is easy to ignore pesky thoughts more than it is easy to ignore a spike in your anxiety or a flare-up of a skin condition or tightness in your chest. So last year in the final episode, A Different Perspective on Solving Problems, I mentioned a new segment that I wanted to start within this podcast and on my blog called A Mindful Minute, and asked each of you to email me or DM me if you had a question or a problem that you wanted a different perspective on, and that I would then weave that into an episode. So my gorgeous cousin Cassie texted me over the Christmas break, and I am sharing her name and this story because she has given me permission to do so. If you want to be part of the Mindful Minute and stay anonymous, that is perfectly fine. But Cass is happy to be named, so she texted me this: "Can I ask when you have a chance for your opinion and some guidance? As a fellow high achiever and aim to do everything right now kind of person," she knows me so well, "and also someone who knows me truly, I have created some goals for myself this year, and I'm 2 weeks in and completely overwhelmed, and I think I need to reassess the whole lot, at the cost of anxiety relapsing and failing the whole lot from burnout and sickness." One of her really good side goals was to work at being a more present and calm mum. So just bear that in mind. So Cass has a young daughter, and her goals were the same as many of ours, really. I mean, she's studying, she's working, and she's a single mum. who's just in the midst of this relatively new relationship as well. And she wants to do the best by herself and by her daughter, which I think we all do. I really believe in the depth of my soul that each of us wants to achieve. Each of us wants to do well. Each of us wants to leave a positive footprint on this planet. Our mark of love and kindness and compassion. I think we want to do the best that we can do every day. Bill Gates has said that we often overestimate what we can achieve in 2 years and underestimate what we can achieve in 10. Cass, like so many of us, had goals to lose some weight, had goals to save some money, had goals to complete a certain amount of subjects in her degree, and had some goals to travel and explore more. And one of her final goals, which I just think is so beautiful, was to find gratitude in every moment. And all of those goals, they're really, really common goals. I think we all probably set very similar goals to those. But she came unstuck in 2 areas. The first was how she was going to do it all. That's where the bulk of her overwhelm was coming from. And the second, if they were goals she truly desired. And this is where she started to question her own intuition, which is great because the world is noisy. And intuition, the dictionary definition of intuition, is the ability to understand something instinctively without the need for conscious reasoning. For me, intuition is what you want and not feeling the need to defend yourself. It's like a deep internal knowing that this is the right path for yourself, but you don't need to justify that, even when it makes no sense to anybody else. So Cass and I had a 30-minute conversation on the phone while I whipped the kids around Kmart. And she was on her 30-minute lunch break because, #we're mums. So we're always doing a million things at once. Not recommended, mind you, but sometimes that's just how stuff gets done. And I asked her if she really thought about it. And I'm going to ask you to do the same thing right now, especially if you are questioning your goals for 2024, if they aren't really sitting well with you. Where did the inspiration of these goals come from? Do you honestly feel like these goals were born from an internal drive or an external pressure? Because there is a reason why we all, year on year, make really similar goals to each other. And that's when she took a minute to really think about it. And she took a deep breath and then she said, yeah, some are internal, but I do think some are definitely external. And the one that really stood out like a sore thumb for her was the degree that she was doing. And she said to me, if I really think about it, I don't even know if I want to finish it. Like I've struggled with this degree almost from the beginning, but I can't stop. I can't drop out because I'll be judged. I'll feel like I'm a failure. And I took a moment and I just thought, well, that's easy. If you're not sure about something, put it on hold. Put a pin in it. Don't keep slogging your guts away at something, especially something like a degree or some form of study, if it doesn't feel aligned with you anymore. Take a break. It's not quitting. It's a very costly, and not just financially, but a very costly position to put yourself in to keep pressing forward on something so big when you are unsure. And the other thing, if someone told you, I have decided to pause my education for a bit, a lot going on, the drill, is your first thought, this person is a loser. If that is your first thought, You need to do some serious work on yourself. Most people are not invested that much in what other people are or are not achieving. Why? Because we are too busy living our own lives. I come to every conversation and I trust that if you have decided something is no longer achievable or in alignment or feels right for you, that's your choice. You are the expert of you, not me, not your friends, not your social media followers, you. So I said, that one is easy. Boom, put it on hold or unenroll or whatever it is you need to do. Don't drop out, because you may change your mind in 2025 or 2026 or 2027. And from what I can remember, particularly when it comes to uni, you have about 10 years before a completed subject expires. And if we think about that, 10 years, that's a long time. Remember what Bill Gates said, we underestimate what we can achieve in 10 years. And we change our minds. Circumstances change, we mature, we grow. We may still feel the same in 10 years about something, but we may not. And so long as there is no financial penalty to pause something, you haven't lost anything in my eyes. The next two goals that she felt pressure around were the weight goal and the money goal. And the Barefoot Investor is great for this. If you have read his book and you want to save, the only thing you need to do is work out how much you want to save and then set up a weekly automatic transfer. So, for example, let's say you want to save $3,000 in 6 months. You divide $3,000 into 26 weeks and then set up an automatic scheduled weekly payment of that amount, which from my calculations is about $115. And you set up that to go from your everyday account where your pay goes into a savings account that you cannot access via a bank card. And once you've set that automatic scheduled weekly payment up, you forget about it. You don't touch that money. And there are two things you have to remember here. If this is not viable, work out what your take-home pay is each week and then take 10% of that and put that into your savings account. But as a caveat, I would say, no matter what we earn, we tend to adjust our spending habits to the money we see available in our account. It is estimated that about 25% of people spend more than what they make, but most of us are pretty good. We will adjust our spending based on the dollars we physically see in our everyday bank account. So if that weekly savings fund money is automatically debited from your account, especially on the day you get paid, it's likely you will become accustomed quite quickly to not needing that money anymore. So my advice, and buyer beware, I am not a financial expert, but try to save the amount you want before adjusting to that 10% figure and just assuming, oh, well, I wouldn't be able to save that much. It's too much. The set and forget approach is the best way to do this though. And I do this for my holiday. I have many scheduled payments. I have a holiday savings account. I run 2 businesses, so I have to pay my own tax. So I have a tax savings account automatically set up. That money automatically moves across so that when tax time comes around for me every quarter, I don't sit there looking at my bank account and panicking about how I'm going to pay that. And I transfer a portion of my weekly income to buy shares every single week. And all of this is automatic. I don't need to think about it. The weight loss, this can be a little bit tricky because when we set a number to reach, there are so many factors that can impede this. Muscle weighs more than fat, sleep, stress, alcohol, cheat days, anxiety, depression. And mentally, when we get fixated on a number, like a goal weight number, we lose sight of what we actually want to achieve. And so I asked Cassie, is your goal this number, or is your goal to be a healthier version of yourself? And of course, she answered the latter, because that's really what we all want. We just want to be a healthier version of ourselves. But when we set this number, our mind goes, what the f-? Because your mind can't quantify how you're going to do it. Your mind needs a roadmap so it doesn't spin. It needs a strategy to understand how you're going to achieve it. These things like numbers, they aren't a true indication of health. So yarning this goal into what it actually is, the goal to be a healthier version of yourself, gives your mind an opportunity to chill out. It is far more quantifiable. Your mind needs to know, okay, we want to lose weight, but we really want to just be a healthier version of ourselves. So what are we going to do? What we're going to do is we're going to start by eating 6 whole food meals every week. We're going to get a minimum of 7 hours of sleep every night by going to bed no later than 9:30 p.m. We're going to drink 1.5 liters of water every day, and we're going to exercise in a form we enjoy on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Or you get a PT so you've got someone holding you accountable. We're going to reduce our alcohol consumption to Friday night only, or whatever you feel is achievable and viable for you. But once you have those quantifiable steps, your mind thinks that you can achieve that. And you need your mind on board, because your mindset is going to be one of the biggest things that knocks you off course. And it's not really a case of thinking about your resolutions or your goals as wrong and sitting there right now thinking, God, I suck, I'm a loser. It's 3 weeks into January and I've made no headway with my resolutions. It's not about doing that. I invite you to look at them again and see how they might need to be molded a bit. And if they no longer fit for right now, pop them on pause. But we set ourselves up for failure when we set goals and intentions and resolutions that come from external pressure. If those goals we have set because we think it'll make others view us differently, if those goals were not born from a deep internal desire, and for the ones that were, sometimes they need a tweak. Every good planner, every good goal setter reviews their goals weekly and pivots if they need to. They adjust the scope, they adjust the steps or actions to reach the goal, they amend the timelines if that is what needs to happen. A year goal needs to be broken into the weekly milestones, and the weekly milestones will tell you if that's an achievable goal. If you can't make the weekly actions work, there is no chance, none, you are going to achieve that goal. And that's what the feedback is from your body and your mind. That's what the feedback tells you. The feedback says, we can't make that work week to week. Or we don't feel like there is a clear enough action plan for the week to week. A very big thank you to my beautiful cousin Cass for allowing me to share her story in our very first segment of A Mindful Minute, and an equally big thank you for listening. I'll be back again next week. If this episode has resonated, I invite you to share it across your socials and with your family and friends. Please also subscribe or follow so you don't miss an episode. And I want to leave you with a quote from Professor Dumbledore. It is not our abilities that show what we truly are. It is our choices. Until next week, take good care of yourself.